Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right, folks. Well, it is Monday. I am super early. I probably could have spent a little bit more time eating, couldn't I? Well, anyways, today's going to be a wild day in markets over the weekend. Hamas launching a large-scale attack against Israel. Current estimates in the, around 1,000, although I'm going to bet that it ends up being much, much more than that because they are only now getting into the areas where Hamas attacked. And the markets, when they opened up, all opened up with significant moves. And so this is going to be a major driver for today. And it is a classic risk-off global turmoil move. Let me show you here. I'm going to start with oil because that's probably the biggest move, up 3%. They have come quite a bit off of their highs, but now making a renewed push. I would be concerned about oil heading right back to $90 after all of this. I think one of the drivers that was pushing oil down was the supposed deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel, and the idea that the Saudis were starting to play nice with the Biden administration. This kind of threatens that. So that might be one factor, but just general overall turmoil in the Middle East. Iran is involved, apparently. Yeah, you're probably going to see oil prices move up on speculation. The other big one, of course, are treasuries. Big gap up on treasuries, and we are now up well above where we were after the very good or seemingly good jobs numbers. Remember, well, actually, we haven't had time to talk about this, have we? You and Discord might, but based on everything that I've looked at, the numbers that we got on Friday were not as good as they appeared. The headline numbers were all great, but when you really dive into the numbers, it's almost all seasonal adjustments. So I think that that's probably a major factor behind why the treasuries and pretty much everything gave up a lot of that move. And then, of course, the turmoil in the Middle East pushing us a little bit higher. And that this is an important thing to note as well, that the treasuries did move up. If they were just concerned about inflation, they would have moved down. But countries move their reserves, and if that moves the treasuries higher, right? Gold and silver also significantly higher today. And copper. Copper doing okay. One thing, I have not heard anything about China in the midst of all this, so it might be interesting to see which side China comes down on. I think that China is going to be unhappy with what Russia and Iran have been doing, but we'll see. And then we got the dollar. Now that's interesting. The dollar did not actually move up nearly as much as I thought they might. I thought that we might be above 106.5, but hey, that means that there's plenty of opportunity for that to start moving. Then we got Bitcoin. Bitcoin moving as a risk asset and moving to the downside. So that's where we're at today. We don't have any economic releases at the bottom of the hour. We do have Fed's Logan and Barr speaking later today. Fed's Jefferson speaking. Bank of England Man speaking. Yeah, so central bank speakers, but no economic news this morning. By the way, good morning, Dom and Jiwi. How are you guys doing? You can see here when I'm looking at my Dom, man. Already the pressure is to the upside. And 4.73 is a price that we've seen a lot, haven't we? Okay. So, the first thing I'm seeing, by the way, expect headline warfare here. All right. First thing I'm seeing, Jake Sherman retweeting Amichiel Stein. Suspected infiltration in northern Israel. People asked to enter their homes and lock themselves inside. Okay, so here's the open for the Treasury. It's funny. So you know what happened to me was I woke up and I look at my phone and my phone is dead. It was low when I went to sleep, but it was charging, and I guess the charger thing that you put on where it does it through induction, sometimes you have to have it on there just right. And I didn't. So it was dead, but like I woke up before my alarm, basically. So I woke up like 5 minutes before my alarm and asked my wife what time it was, and then just decided to get up. So I was 5 minutes early. That made a big difference. What's this from Schumer? We make clear over and over that China doesn't help itself if it aligns with Putin. So they're thinking about it too. Because this attack in Israel, very important piece of information here, that makes this very relevant to the markets, is that Iran was supposedly behind the attack. There are sources from I believe the New York Times. I don't remember anymore. I think it was. Anyways, saying that Iran did the planning, did the funding, and gave the final go-ahead to do the attack, and that they got the intelligence from the Russians. No, that was Schumer in Congress, I believe. U.S. Senator Schumer. Jake Sherman, 9 Americans killed by Hamas terrorists in Israel. So, Russia and Iran, this is kind of this quote-unquote evil alliance that they've all been talking about, right? And China has kind of been like aligned with them too, weary about how closely they want to associate with them. I would hope that what just happened makes the Chinese go like, whoa, hold up. I don't think I want to be involved in this. But we'll see what they actually do, right? Oh, Amy. I didn't see that it was Amy. Amy Schumer. Oh, man. Yes, that did go over my head, didn't it? Okay, so the open here, definitely to the upside, and quite aggressively so, I might add. Although the micro treasuries have not really moved too much from it. Mir, how are you? I saw a funny cartoon. I'll keep it to myself. That was Israeli. Okay, let's read this story. The Israeli shekel tumbled overnight, down over 2% against the dollar as the headlines and images of atrocities spread around the world. However, the currency has now stabilized following remarks from the Bank of Israel that it stands ready to provide up to $30 billion of forex liquidity in the spot market and up to $15 billion in swaps against the backdrop of depreciation pressures on the shekel. For now, The Bank of Israel has said emergency rate hike is not on the table. Israel's benchmark TA35 index tumbled over 6% on Sunday but recovered from early losses on Monday. Economic activity will likely be disrupted, presenting a negative supply shock, according to Citigroup strategists, including Michael Nyes. At the same time, fiscal support would probably have to be stepped up for both reconstruction and loss of income support, as well as for strengthening security measures, they say in a note. A wide-scale call-up of reservists could further reduce the labor supply in an already tight labor market. This could be partially offset by job destruction in areas affected by fighting. On the demand side, a lot will depend on general threat perception, which might weigh on consumption in sectors like hospitality. However, as Goldman notes, Israel's underlying balance of payments position is much healthier today than it was during past major episodes of escalating tensions and conflict, with a large current account surplus, a reduced reliance on foreign capital inflows, and an unusually large stock of foreign currency reserves. This strong balance of payments position has reduced Israel's economic and financial vulnerability to shocks and will ease the task of the Bank of Israel in addressing any financial stability implications from the conflict. If the negative market reaction persists or intensifies, we would not rule out further response by the central bank, either via policy rates and or additional FX interventions. In addition, past episodes of conflict in the region, the Israeli economy has also benefited from significant financial inflows from abroad, from aid and other transfers. Yay. There was a lot of good information in that story, so. Looks like they've found an okay little balance area at 12. Not a whole lot of activity, though. This headline right here, at least 9 Americans were killed in Israel. That is 100% timed to come right as people are getting to their desks and starting work, so that the major headline and the thing everybody's upset and focused about in the United States is that some Americans were killed from this, right? I listened to about 30 hours of, I don't know who that is, Maria Nafal? My phone was incredibly angry at me. Yeah, crude oil is hot. And then Treasury's had a pretty solid move there too. Not many guys in the micros biting though. Yum. Oh, this is a guy? So maybe it should be Maria. Oh, yes, not Maria. Okay. Non-conspiratorial, non-biased, just raw reports. Another piece of the puzzle that I haven't mentioned here is that as I said, Iran and Russia are involved. Sounds like that Russia may have been pushing and wanted this to happen to try and put focus off of Ukraine so that less aid goes to Ukraine. I don't know if it's actually going to work out that way, but that clearly seems to be a factor in their decision making. They went 18 hours, really? from on the ground. One of the things I found a little interesting about this conflict, of course, I got a lot of media, like a lot of videos and stuff on Twitter and stuff, but I was not getting a lot of reports about, like I expected to wake up yesterday, because you got to remember Israel is like what, 2 hours ahead of London time, right? So by the time it's about noon here in the States, it's getting evening time in Israel. And I was expecting to hear reports of like counteroffensives and stuff like that, and I really didn't. Although I did end up later in the day yesterday getting videos of bombings in Gaza. Hold on a second. Saw one person on TikTok, they were saying, wow, why am I getting so much more stuff about what's going on in Israel than I am about what's going on in Ukraine? Well, I don't know. I feel like when the Ukraine thing was first happening, we got so much stuff. But it seems to me like the Israeli military has a better media arm than the Ukrainians do, right? And I'm hearing some comments from Gazprom. We're going to see a move natural gas? Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything. So the thing, political implications here are really interesting. This will shore up quickly after we have a speaker vote, elect a speaker, slap together a multi-trillion-dollar omnibus spending bill, bloat it up and sign it into law, and then, yeah, give Israel several $1 billion of military aid. Well, are you in on this was an Israeli military intelligence failure? What is that, like intentional failure sort of a thing? What should we call this theory? The intentional intelligence failure theory? No, it's definitely been going around, isn't it? I'm in on nothing. I just know what's gonna happen. So the thing that I find really interesting about the situation as it pertains to politics in the United States is that this is kind of a schism issue for both parties, which is to say that both parties have people in them that really don't want to provide aid to Israel. Of course, the vast majority do, and it's almost a given that they will sign some multi-billion-dollar bill to give aid to Israel. Almost certain to happen. I don't know if Israel needs the support or not. You're saying in 30 to 90 days, Israel. I think that's maybe a misread of the situation. So here's the thing. I should finish my first thought first, okay? So there are Democrats. There's a wide swath of Democrats that are pro-Palestinian, right? And they've been throwing pro-Palestinian rallies and stuff all over the United States this weekend, which, in my opinion, looks super bad. Okay, you should realize what happened, right? It was just an immense atrocity people crossing over the border, going door to door, executing families, going to a psytrance festival, killing hundreds, if not thousands of people there, kidnapping women and children, old people. It's just like, I see a wide swath of people out there going, oh my gosh, my entire worldview has just been decimated. Like, I can't believe that I used to support these people. This is horrific and awful. But there are still some people in the United States that the programming is too strong, or what, I don't know what it is, but they've been throwing rallies in support of the Palestinians and stuff like that. Okay, so there's that element in the Democrat Party. In the Republican Party, there's a group of people that, you know, I would consider the extremists within the party, the people that I really don't like and kind of want to go away. One group of them are almost like I would call the Christian nationalists, and they're like, well, the Jews and the Arabs hate us both and have always been bad to us, and we shouldn't get involved. And then there's this other group that are just like straight up anti-Semitic. So if you go to like the Donald, they're trying to downplay it. They're not in favor of helping Israel. They're going to be against giving aid, even though it's almost certainly going to happen, right? It's like a schism issue for both parties. Isn't it weird that the current iterations of Western governments express their native right-wing demographics as terrorists and extremists while condemning the... Well, I didn't call them terrorists, but there's definitely some extremists in our party that the reasoning behind their... I mean, the reason that these people do it is because they're either Christian nationalists, which I don't agree with, or they're just straight up anti-Semitic, which I really don't like. Like, the neo-Nazis are definitely out there, and I think in full force on the Donald, for instance. So it just is what it is, right? But here's the thing. This is not, in my opinion, this is not just another skirmish. I think that a lot of people, you know, like, it's almost like the responses that we get are automatic. Oh, Israel was attacked, I support Israel, or, you know, yay Hamas, and they, you know, when I go online, what's all the conversation about, right? I've seen so much stuff on TikTok, people litigating the past, right? Explaining why both sides have a reason to be there, trying to explain why they believe that the Israeli government is an apartheid state, which is not true. Palestinians, Muslims have full rights within Israel if they are citizens. There are a lot of people that left before Israel became a state and they did not get citizenship and haven't had the right to come back, but that's separate. The people that are citizens, they do have full rights. It is a real democracy. But it doesn't matter. Okay, once you have one side going out and kidnapping children and killing, you know, civilians and women's in just the most immense slaughter. Like, did you see this thing with this German girl? They killed a German girl at the parade, paraded her body naked around the city, dancing around it. Absolutely horrific. You're not the good guy if you're killing women and parading their naked bodies around the city. I'm sorry, you're just not. You're just not. These are evil people, and this is a major shift, guys. You've got to realize this is a major shift, okay? For the past 20 years, the whole thing has been, we should have a two-state solution. Maybe Hamas will eventually come around and they can be a part of that solution, etc., etc., etc. Right? Not anymore, man. Not anymore. Hamas will cease to exist. Israel will eradicate them. I don't think that they're just going to completely level the Gaza Strip. I think that they will almost certainly occupy, if not annex, the Gaza Strip. But they're just gonna decimate Hamas, and anybody associated with Hamas, they're gonna kill, straight up. Now, there's also a very high probability of this spilling over further, because there are now incursions happening from the north, or at least we've been getting reports of that. And, you know, other entities talking about like that they're going to come in. Iran wants this to be a, you know, we're going to destroy Israel. And so there's even like stuff like the Afghan army saying, hey, if you let us through, we'll totally come in and help. And there's concerns of Iran getting directly involved. There's concerns that Israel, well, I think the way that this would play out is that Israel does strikes against Iran and finally does something that they've kind of been warning that they're going to do for a very, very long time. And then you get a full-on conflict. I think that's why you have the U.S. carriers there. So one of the things was a U.S. carrier group moved into position near Israel. What are they going to do? Well, I think that what they're going to do is they're going to be there to say, hey, Iran, I wouldn't get involved if I were you. So I don't think that it would be appropriate. I don't see the United States military directly carrying out strikes in the Gaza Strip for Israel. Probably not going to happen. But I think that they're there as a deterrent for Iran. So, yeah, could this turn into World War III? It could. It could. I don't think that that's the most likely scenario, but the possibility is there. And that all just highlights the real point that I'm trying to make, which is that this is not just like another skirmish that, you know, they fight for a week or two, they take Gaza over again, and then we all forget about it in a few weeks. I mean, sure, you will see the activity die down because it's not going to take forever for Israel to do their operation in Gaza. Okay, but this is going to have far-reaching. This completely changes the trajectory of the conflict in the Middle East. It really does, and it is changing things. Hamas is going to be out of the picture, and maybe the two-state solution is dead. That's the other thing is maybe the two-state solution is dead, right? Because it seems to me like Israel is kind of saying, look, we've played this game for like 20, 30 years now. We're sick of playing it. We're just going to take care of the problem. You saw the video of the German girl with broken. It's so awful, right? I don't think I've only seen like pictures of her. I don't think I've seen the straight up video of her being dragged around or paraded around or whatever. Treasury Secretary Yellen, the U.S. is likely to take steps to enforce $60 a barrel oil, according to the Wall Street Journal. How are they going to do that? I don't see that headline. Let me come around, and I do have Financial Juice going. Okay, I do see it. I'm not sure that actually means what it seems like like what I think it means. The United States Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told the Wall Street Journal on Monday that Washington will likely implement necessary measures to ensure that the crude oil price does not surpass the ceiling established by the Group of Seven. Okay, so they're talking about Russian oil is what they're doing here, right? We are looking at enforcement very carefully, and we want to make sure that market participants are aware we take this price cap seriously, and to the extent Western services are used, we mean business about abiding by the cap. Namely, Moscow has been exporting oil at a rate significantly above the price ceiling of $60 a barrel, Established by the Group of Seven, the current trading price for Russian oil stands at an average of $73 per barrel. Okay. So what actions would you take to ensure that we get there? You're going to do economic sanctions against G7 countries that are not abiding? Interestingly, nothing. Well, it's not. So here's the thing, Jiwi. If you support the Palestinian people, then you should be absolutely 100% against what happened with Hamas. And there are actually like 3 different factions that the Israelis deal with, right? There is Gaza in the southwest. There is the PLA, which is the West Bank, and there's Hezbollah to the north. And the PLA in the West Bank has been trying to play nice. The PLA wants the 2-state solution, etc., etc. Sorry, what is it? The Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO? Is it PLO? PLA is the army. Yeah, the Palestine Liberation Organization. So, like, their leader has kind of, like, tacitly supported the attacks and everything because, you know, that's what their people want. But the West Bank has been better behaved, let's say. So that's why nothing happened in the West Bank. It's going to be interesting to see the German reaction. Yeah, when I first saw Philip DeFranco talk about that, he was saying that, like, to say the reaction in Germany is upset is like a huge understatement. It's a bank holiday today? I don't think so. Is it maybe in somewhere? Let's see. Oh, USD bank holiday. Oh, it's Columbus Day today? Oh, wow. Well, I feel out of the loop. Man, look at the treasuries just jump right back up there. Yeah, that's some. Did you see how when I put my order there at 01, they moved down? The Columbus Day thing is interesting, but I'm not a historian, so I don't think I'll jump in on that one. On the reduction. Yeah. That may be partly why there's less activity and liquidity. You know, note that AMP futures increased their margins again. I tell you what, AMP futures temporarily increases their margins so often. Like, what is even the point of having the margins that they do, right? Like, it is the margins that they give you are 100% designed to get you to over leverage yourself. I don't understand why. Well, you know, it's not designed to get you to over leverage yourself. But they do over leverage yourself. I think that it's designed to entice you in. That you go and you say, well, these guys, the margin is this, and these guys, the margin is this, so I should go with the one with the lower margin. But you shouldn't trade anywhere close to those margin requirements, man. They moved the margin up to the almost to the full margin maintenance requirement. That's funny. So I don't think I ever get those from Edge Clear, but that's because they hold you to a higher standard all the time. It's kind of like, you know, that leverage is kind of useless if we're not. Well, it looks like we're going to tag 4-7. The overnight high was 107.20 half. Sure seems like we're destined to head up there too, doesn't it? But I don't know where to trade. I do not like how all of the sudden the spread here is really far in the micros. This really sucks. Every time that it seems like I'm confident in which direction it's going to go and like there's the opportunity. I just can't seem to find a spot. I can't seem to convince myself to jump in. And I'm not sure if it's because it's just the way that it's trading is just not really amicable to the way that I like to execute, or if I'm just being a pussy or what. But I just can't get, you know, I'm not going to sell 4-7. But of course, that's what I was saying at 4-7 too. Do you think the bond market is signaling a recession? No. I think that the bond market is doing what it tends to do when there is global turmoil. When there's global turmoil, they buy the bonds because of what countries do with their foreign reserves and stuff. So... there will be no recession before February 2024. Well, I do think that I mean, I can almost guarantee you that GDP in quarter 4 is not going to be as high as it was in quarter 2 and 3. So, but not necessarily negative GDP. Okay, so we are getting a little bit more fight here now that they've tagged that 107.16 in ZN. So I'm trying to remind myself to look up every once in a while, because apparently I look down too much, and it might be affecting my eyes. I need to look up every once in a while. I should put like a picture up there so you can look at it. You don't have any long-term positions anymore? If I'm like managing a portfolio, I would never recommend being 100% cash, but to reduce your positions and stuff, I think I think maybe it's a little late, but I think that it makes a lot of sense to be reducing positions right now. Top administration officials told senators to prepare their constituents for a long war in Israel and the Gaza Strip, indicating that U.S. support, both tangible and political, will be necessary in the coming weeks. The administration looking to establish domestic political expectations. I'm curious to see how enthusiastic the administration will be about supporting Israel. I would think that they would be fairly active, but my longest positions are 2-year bonds, really? Well, that's been a painful one as of late, hasn't it? They'll be up against roughly 10 to 15% of Democrat voters. My time in sales, block trades time, the time on ES will show weird numbers, i.e. 200. Oh, yes, I do know what that's about. So what is that about? I think that it has something to do with like off exchange trades or options or something like that. I don't typically see those on my feed over here, but I'm not feeling the best all of a sudden. I feel kind of anemic. My gut has been doing weird things yesterday. I ate something yesterday that my body did not like, and makes me feel tired. And wow, they took another little jump there. Do we eat yogurt? I don't think I have any. I'm getting that like the beginnings of something that might make me feel like I'm gonna pass out. So let's see. I didn't eat anything that would like spike my blood sugar big time. Like just a banana and a muffin. So I should be fine. I don't understand why I'm feeling this way. Maybe I didn't get enough protein. I've never passed out live, but I've certainly like gone and sat somewhere. This happens like maybe once a quarter or something, and we just don't understand what causes it. I'm starting to get like the hot flashes and stuff. It's a little wild how the treasury will push back very aggressively, and then just whoop, they get slammed to the highs. I'm not necessarily seeing big moves in the currencies doing this either. Time to go long Raytheon? Maybe. I'm trying to remember what the problem was. A lot of the defense stocks haven't necessarily been doing well really lately, so maybe you're anti. So my first thought is am I really hot in here, or is it just me? I'm gonna go walk around for a second. Wow, I missed something big. Fed's slogan, too soon to say inflation is reaching 2% in a sustainable way. Higher yields may mean there's less need to raise rates. And they reached the highest, didn't they? Yeah. That was it. Dallas Fed President Lori Logan, who has been at the hawkish end of the FOMC, takes seriously the recent run-up in Treasury yields and term premiums. In particular, her conviction about the need to hike again sounds like it is diminishing as a result. And that is what is likely driving that move, I think. All flights halted in Hamburg, Germany. Dude, the liquidity here in the micros does not look good. I'm feeling better already. Okay. I don't know. Fed's Logan's speech there kind of sounds like it's trying to be hawkish, but it really isn't. You know what I mean? Okay, there's a speech for Barr in about 10 minutes, and it will include a Q&A. It's looking like it's getting hot. Well, like I said, I think that part of the concern here is that Israel and Iran could become entangled. And at that point, we could see a situation where Western powers would get involved. I think that right now, Western powers are just trying to flex muscle. Okay, things is tumbled there. I'm not 100% sure what to make of all that now. May have just been a stop run. It looks to me like the robot in the micros is just gone. Like, we're on the right contract. We're on V. It's October. But the robots that are typically providing a lot of liquidity in there, they're not there, are they? These are all individual. You think it's because it's the bank holiday? Maybe. I don't usually see the robots turn off necessarily on holidays, but I think Israel's going to settle the score here, not just with Gaza, but with Iran and Russia. You know, if Israel starts doing strikes against Iran, I can't even imagine what that even looks like, or what they would be, what their goals would be. Like, I don't think that Israel can go into Iran with the goal of regime change, right? U.S. and international airlines halt flights to Israel. I think it could expand really quick. Russia and China already announced they would defend Iran. Wow, look at this come all the way back to 4-7. I'm so glad that I didn't get involved in that, because I was really starting to think about that I need to just jump on this. And it's coming back so hard. We're in a situation where we might be able to get really good reads, so I should probably keep an eye on the DOM here, huh? This is a big order at 19.5, 27.10 contracts bid. Not really seeing anything else too interesting on the DOM at the moment. Well, there's a really big order in the ZF above us at 105.16. The dollar did take a dive there off of what we believe was a reaction to the central bank speaker Logan. We're about where we would be where if this was just like a quick pullback that I would maybe expect to see some support. Well, I come back to my spot. It is just awfully quiet now, isn't it? I think I will clear my DOM. Now, I can already see people arguing about Christopher Columbus. Still kind of languishing there. Giving you a fairly clean shot at 4-7 now, though, if we want to take it. Although I kind of do feel like I could maybe get more. To be honest with you. I don't know. Tough call. Now that I have all these new order flow tools, like with Bookmap, all sorts of footprints, I've been doing terrible trading the past couple of, information overload, right? So I think that the problem is that I think there's one thing that we're really kind of looking for here. What really ultimately matters, I think the thing that we have like empirical evidence for is areas of low latent liquidity. And so when I pull up the DOM, I'm trying to monitor latent liquidity. When you pull up a footprint chart, for instance, and you get all of this other information at like every price, and does that information really actually give you actionable things? I'm not 100% sure that it really does to a retail trader. Have you tried going all in on Sierra charts? No, I have traded with, I have like used it for a week. I used it for a week. You really have to set Sierra charts DOM up. It takes a little bit of work to get it to work the way that we want it to, but you can do it. I just don't think it's nearly as slick as the Jigsaw DOM. Here's bar. It's going offer at 16, but not holding. All this kind of makes me sleepy. Like I want to close my eyes and just relax. The learning curve in Sierra charts is insane. Like finding settings in it is really hard, right? Like I mean, the issue with Sierra charts isn't that the learning curve is high. It's that having a high learning curve is not necessary, right? The reason the learning curve is so high is because the developers are just completely disorganized. They didn't approach this from the perspective of, I trade, here's a holistic trading system that accomplishes everything that I need. It's not what they did at all. What they did was they said, what are other people doing? Let's steal all of their features and try and have all of them. And so they just kind of find anywhere that they can to try and fit the latest cool new feature in, you know? And it ends up being a mess. And a part of that is because I don't really feel like that the people developing this are really like traders. They're, you know? Starting to wonder with my chair here if I really wished I had the lumbar support or not. Told that the lumbar support for this chair the Hayworth Fern is really hard and kind of defeats the purpose of the interesting seatback that they have. But I do kind of miss having something a little bit more firm to push against my lower back. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably I'm being too lazy with my lower back. So maybe having the lower back support is bad in the end. I'm very unhappy with the liquidity conditions in the micros because, you know, like 471, that wouldn't be terrible. Good luck getting filled on that, you know? You got like a 5-tick spread. Not helpful. New York Stock Exchange pays respect to victims of the tragic violence in the Middle East with a moment of silence. Okay, at what time? Oh. Starting at 7:19, which is right now. I guess I should shut up, right? Well, there's only 10 seconds left. Let's see here. Joseph Wang, the market has fought the Fed for 2 years, but it is finally on the same page when it should be skeptical. This post looks at the recent data and rise in longer dated yields and suggests the Fed is done hiking and may cut sooner than expected. That's on fedguy.com if you are a subscriber. Am I consider a Walmart job? No, I don't. Yeah, but trading micros is way more fun. I just think it's really funny when retail traders get, you know, overly concerned about like what the tick size and the commission and all of those sorts of things are, because it's like, look, what you doing here is super hard and super risky. I don't understand what this drive is to be the biggest risk taker. Like it's not a badge of honor to have lost the most money. You know, I've seen other influencers go out and they've made tens of thousands of dollars and then they just blow it all in one day. You're just throwing all of your hard work in the trash. You know, I would rather trade small, within reason and build it up slowly and get good at it than I would to throw it around a couple $10,000s of dollars. I don't need to hit it big in here to, you know, have a successful life. So why would I go and I do crazy things, right? Like you want to play to, you know, like I saw this story on Reddit the other day. This guy's saying his dad said that after he got wealthy, he didn't want to be like hyper rich. He just didn't want to be poor again. And so that took him away from taking very high risk positions that many other rich people did. And he found that they always ended up being illusions, essentially, that They just sucked away the people's wealth. I always had to take gambling shots with my businesses. I really think that it's the slow and steady race is better. You take it slow and steady, and by your 40s and 50s, you're gonna have a huge wad. You'll be able to do whatever you want, and then you can kind of take huge risks, and they're not even big deals. You know. But in this situation right here, where the liquidity is very low, and the market is kind of ranging around real quick here, that's not necessarily the best situation for us, anyways. So. Logan's speech is worth reading. The why of this recent bond sell-off matters importantly for the Fed. If this is about the market expecting a higher policy path, that wouldn't necessarily change the path. But higher term premiums have a different implication altogether. Let's try and read this a little deeper. And higher term premiums have a different implication altogether. Higher term premiums result in higher term interest rates for the same setting of the funds rate, all else equal. Thus, if term premiums rise, they could do some of the work of cooling the economy for us, leaving less need for additional monetary policy tightening to achieve the FOMC's objectives. The persistence of all these changes also matters. If technical factors are temporary, raising term premiums, for example, monetary policy shouldn't overreact. A third approach is to evaluate whether yield moves on specific days or in specific time intervals were driven primarily by changes in the expected path of short rates or by shifts in the price of duration risk. Yield changes in response to economic data surprises or to Fed communications on rate policy might reasonably be assigned to changes in interest rate expectations. Yield moves on news unrelated to Fed rate policy might be chalked up to term premiums. This approach is subject to a great deal of judgment, but can deliver ballpark results. My back-of-the-envelope estimates using this approach suggest that more than half of the total increase in long-dated yields since July FOMC reflects rising term premiums. Interesting. So it's interesting to me that the Federal Reserve seems to be coming down on the side of the reason that the treasuries are moving as much as they are lately is because of the term premium. Because I myself have kind of been a little bit uncertain about why the treasuries are moving the way that they did. And if it was an increase in the term premium, that would totally be a flow that I wouldn't have a very good handle on. But it seems like nobody really has a very good handle on it. So liquidity in the treasury is still pretty weak. They moved back down 3 ticks. For 5 minutes until the S&P 500 opens, so Israeli defense minister orders complete siege on the Gaza Strip, not Java. Ugh. From thehill.com. Israel's defense minister on Monday ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip as retaliatory action ramps up against the Palestinian militants who launched a deadly surprise attack over the weekend. Nothing else new information in that story, so I won't bother reading the rest of it. You've seen the newest cope cages on Russian tanks look like they are prepared for swarming mosquitoes. I don't know. The way that tank armor develops is super weird. Costco CFO warns of price increase for memberships. Okay. They're going to eventually change the hot dog price. That'll be a sad day. The internet will be very sad the day that happens. That'll be like the leading story. A lot of brokers seem to have quadrupled margin requirements. Yeah. Listen, if the futures brokers changing their margin requirements prevents you from being able to trade, then you are probably trading too big. Hey, right here, more from Logan. I guess they're doing a Q&A now. Ooh, oh man. Multiple Utah synagogues receive bomb threats. That's awful. Is there talk of futures trading becoming more expensive? It's just there's a lot of people on Reddit complaining about NinjaTrader and AMP futures like doubling and quadrupling their margin now, this weekend. So all of these guys, they're trading like, you know, they're really on the edge and now they can't trade. It's just like, you know, you were probably over leveraged anyways. Okay, well, it's been chilling at 16 for a while now. So maybe there's a liquidity hole there now. Like this is the post meta order impact settling in here. It's been about 30 minutes since that strong move up we had. What? Fall asleep again? My body's all sorts of messed up today, guys. Another down tick. This move in the treasuries is a little suspicious, isn't it? But it is so illiquid. Like to be all the way back to 7.2 already is pretty wild. Micros are going to start printing highs. But I think this is just another reflection of the low liquidity this morning. That's weird. I'm just browsing Reddit a little bit to try and give myself like the chemicals to stay awake. And it says here, because you've shown interest in a similar community, remember when Doge was above 50 cents? This was a post that was from like 3 days ago, though. Oh, makes me feel bad for the Dogecoin investors, don't it? Well, another further move down. See, I was stalking the long there. I think I have to give that back. This could go all the way down to like 0.8 potentially. Like this could go to regular session lows. That would sure be a shock. Because I mean, it's not like there's tons of volume going through or anything. The Japanese yen was moving. It's coming back, but not that strongly. The dollar's not reversing, so the treasury's coming back this hard is a little difficult to explain. It's just like not a lot of liquidity. What's happening with index? Well, nothing yet. Kind of looks like a tepid buy. Elon Musk deletes tweet telling people to follow known anti-Semite for Israel war updates. Jeez. Okay, so there's this subreddit on Reddit called Enough Musk Spam. And then there's another one that like idolizes Elon Musk. And both sides of this argument seem like people that are completely unhinged and disconnected from reality. And it's just really strange and strangely interesting to watch them argue. Like the thing yesterday was that there was a story about how he had difficulty in school and he had difficulty finding friends in school. And I'm like, well, yeah, he's autistic. What do you think? That's basically the autistic experience, guys. Okay, treasury's maybe bouncing there. Yeah, well, so the flow was definitely in ZB. I don't know. This could just be more spreading. That I mean, it looks to me like a steepener. Like we're getting a really I dare say this is almost a complete retracement of the first hour's action. Possibly on spreading. They must probably still be reacting to Fed's Logan. I would assume. Nomura is hiring 5 traders to beef up its emerging markets trading desk with a focus on the Middle East. Reports Bloomberg. Wow. 5 whole traders. Or Nomura. Well, you'd have to be Japanese, right? I would think. I suppose they do have multiple offices. Okay, that looks like a good little recovery. And the liquidity in the micro is recovered. How can you guys see potential trade in treasuries when the indexes are so out of sync? Well, because we're not watching the indexes, I guess. I think the trade here today would have been to go long right on the open, and you should have already taken profits. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to do from here. This move down to the downside has me a little confused, a little bit like scared to try and take an outright position. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about it and stocking, going short with the micros along with the main treasuries, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in it. I think that it's better I just stay out for now. Okay, so r/DevOps. Hot takes or unpopular opinions that you want r/DevOps to hear. I'll start. 50% of the posters just need to use Google. Top comment. You don't need a K8s cluster with 26 microservices for that static website. Okay. Very few of these websites are static now, though. Kubernetes is the thing, though, these days. I really don't like the liquidity over here in Xen. Kubernetes is a complex solution to a complex FANG problem. Most people / businesses don't have that problem. I would disagree. I think that the problem is that you run into this situation where you need to be able to reallocate sources dynamically. You can actually get there very quickly. And companies very quickly find themselves in situations where their websites are going down and stuff. Like, that's the big problem now. So that's why site reliability engineering is becoming a bigger thing, and that's why they're moving to like everything microservices and stuff, because otherwise it just becomes unwieldy. Managed K8s isn't a big deal these days, like EKS. Yeah, it is true. But I kind of feel like that part of the advantage to Kubernetes is what it does to your infrastructure as code. I always wonder if underflow really helps. It takes one more contract to move one tick because aggressive orders coming through. There is still someone on the other side. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I think that in a situation like right now, that those smaller orders will have a larger impact than they normally would, because things have gotten tight. They've kind of eaten through the liquidity in this area. So you got really low liquidity, tight range. That means that like the individual contracts start mattering. That's why I'm a little bit weary. Like, I don't think that I really want to take a trade here between 725 and 730 unless I really, really strongly believe in it. Every company attributes the title DevOps to something ridiculously DevOps. Yeah. I work as an SRE now and rebranding as a platform engineer. Why would you? Because SRE is like where the money is. Well, that's interesting that you want to rebrand as a platform engineer, but it does kind of, because maybe I might understand, because SRE ends up being also much like DevOps, like a really broad term, and it gets applied differently in every company. Like SREs are paid a lot because, if you're at like Google or Twitter, or a cloud platform, keeping the website up is difficult, and they pay those people a lot of money. But then what other companies need to do is not nearly as complicated, but you still need the people to do it, and they're in demand, and so it ends up being very expensive. So it's pretty wild. But it does seem to me that like the more interesting work is in the like managing the pipelines and managing Kubernetes and instances and things like that, rather than like app development side of things. So if you're more on the app development side of things in SRE, that's kind of a warning sign that your company maybe has some deficiencies in development, right? At least that's how I feel about it. Yeah. Talking tools, Datadog can do some handy things, but its steep price just isn't justified. Exactly. I am perplexed as to why Wall Street latched on to it was merely because of the people that got involved in it. I just don't think the Datadog's product is as good compared to the other platforms, especially not to justify the huge price that you pay with the Datadog. It's just ridiculous. Kubernetes is a real pain in it. No, I think that Kubernetes is really great. I think the problem with Kubernetes is that its infrastructure is code, but they have not really developed super good tools to interface with it yet. So Kubernetes kind of seems like a low-level platform that needs layers built on top of it, and those other layers haven't been built yet. Because like LM2 was saying, or LGX2, there's like these managed Kubernetes instances like EKS and AKS make it a lot easier. DevOps people need a strong understanding of how to actually program stuff. Yeah, that's this problem I've seen a lot. Is they'll program things and what they program is just like not sustainable at all. Or you get somebody that just makes it work in shell scripts. Ugh. Yeah, a lot of people, DevOps people with DevOps backgrounds can't code. Yeah. And now that we're in the world of everything should be infrastructure as code, you need to know how to code. Right? You're just used to a different type of coding. It is. It's easier for a motivated coder to learn the operations side than for a DevOps person to learn to code. Well, not only that, but I think that a lot of the development side guys end up learning the DevOps role just in the course of their regular work. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. Was like, we were developing these or maintaining these tools And when you go and you look at it, you realize that the biggest problem with it is deficient pipelines. So you go and you rewrite the whole pipelines and all of the build systems for it and everything. And in the course of doing that and moving it, like first it was we got a good build system going with it. And then it was we need to move it into the cloud. And then it was it needs to be Kubernetes. And then, you know, all of these sorts of things, right? You end up doing everything that DevOps is doing, except for like the hardcore networking side. Software industry is a really interesting place right now, I feel. I saw this thread the other day on Reddit. I read Reddit too much, man. I need like a different hobby. I need a hobby that like me and my wife can go and do it and still bring the toddlers and not have the toddlers running amok because they are just not well behaved, okay? But anyways, this guy was posting that like, you know, when we were in school, it was you need to go into STEM fields, and now everybody's saying you need to go into the trades, and you know, you can't predict what's going to happen, and you know they're only doing that because they're not doing very well and all of this, and everybody in the thread was like, no, like the STEM fields is definitely where all of the people are making the money right now. Like, what are you talking about? Much of the hardcore networking side is handled by the big SaaS platforms. Well, yeah, but I don't know, man. So I messed around with a lot of that stuff, and I feel like that doing the networking of the cloud itself can be a really sophisticated thing. Not just a really sophisticated thing, but like, it's like a different world, you know? You have to learn completely new stuff. That's how I feel about that one. Because I constantly was running into situations where I felt like I needed more networking knowledge. It was firewall rules, right? It was always trying to debug and diagnose firewall problems. It was usually the problem. Okay, well, so after that huge push higher off of the Federal Reserve speaker's comments, we had post-meta order impact or regime change. We had a little bit of stabilization at 16, followed by a little bit of a bear swing down, and then stabilization again at 14.5. So what I see right now is a very illiquid market that is reacting very strongly to new orders, but because of a holiday, there is not nearly as much activity as I would have thought there would be. So the whole Israel thing combined with low liquidity has really turned today into a shit show, but in the end, probably doesn't tell us a whole lot about where things are going. You can get deep into it, particularly with hybrid architecture cloud plus on-prem. Well, yeah, like our whole thing was they want to get rid of the data center. I really kind of wonder how much money are you actually saving by putting everything into the cloud, because the amount of money that they were willing to spend, my old job, that they were willing to spend to get stuff into the cloud was a little obscene. Like with how aggressive it was and everything. And I kind of wonder if it's not that they plan on like getting rid of half of their workforce after that transition is done. Because they also did things like we had a group that created the GUI thing that the people on the call floor would use. And then they switched over to a third-party vendor to do that. And I'm like, What the hell? Like, if you can't write that, then what do we exist for? What do we even exist for if that's, you know? It was a really weird shift. And I can't help but think that they're pouring a ton into the development costs right now because they intend on firing everybody. It's kind of what I thought. But whatever. Well, it is coming back up there. Actually, what the heck? Were we okay? That's 3 minutes ago. I'm just looking at this like, okay, so we just moved up that looks like the sort of a really good trend. That looks like, oh, I would really like to be short 472. But it's I think that the market is basically extra sensitive. I think tomorrow should be a better trading day. This just doesn't seem like the best action for us. DevOps is not a job title, it's a methodology. Okay. See, this is where I think it gets so funny. It's like, okay, here's this guy. DevOps designed the continuous integration, continuous deployment pipelines, and deployment practices as well. Their job scope is more than just sysadmin or monitoring. The DevOps methodology should be renamed as Agile SDLC methodology. And then this guy says, I would say that's your definition of DevOps and can be covered by the SRE title. Oh, okay. So SRE isn't about monitoring and responding to issues. It's building pipelines. Where is it going to go? Yeah, I think that it probably, the most likely scenario is that the treasuries do eventually end up pushing back up here towards the 18.5 area. But at the moment, they're acting like we're going to make you question every little tick until that actually happens. You had to take a break at the work. Yeah, it really was. But you know what? I wasn't feeling very well. And even if I'd been feeling well, I don't think I would have taken a trade, right? I think that time when I was stepping away was really when I would have wanted to be taking profits on a trade, right? So... But the treasury market seems overly sensitive here this morning, so... Okay. Let's go read. So I'm coming over to Zero Hedge here. Seeing a couple of news stories about the Israeli conflict, the total death toll among both sides as all-out war between Israel and Gaza militants enters its third day has topped 1,100, with most of these deaths being Israeli at an estimated 800. Israel's defense minister has, as of Monday, ordered a complete siege of Gaza, which alarmingly includes cutting off all supply of electricity, fuel, and food, but even water for a densely packed population of 3+ million people in the Strip. And they were already low on water, too, by the way. Yoav Gallant said, "I have given an order. Gaza will be under complete siege." He added, "We are fighting barbarians and will respond accordingly." At the same time, a statement from the energy minister Israel Katz said, confirmed, "I instructed that the water supply from Israel to Gaza be cut off immediately." IDF forces have reportedly retaken all the southern towns and settlements which were hardest hit by Saturday's shock invasion of the Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad militants from Gaza. A fuller picture of the devastation is still emerging. Israeli authorities have confirmed the recovery of 260 bodies from the site of the Desert Music Festival, which was among the first to be invaded by Hamas gunmen. And they've got a video here. I'm gonna watch. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. So I am seeing a video of, it looks like when people saw what was going on, they got in their cars and tried to drive away, but they got stopped. I can see a lot of cars off on the side of the road. Many of these cars burnt out, destroyed, bullet holes in them. I can see these fields where the people said that they were going and hiding. That's so horrific, man. I thought, oh, is it going to be an aerial view of the place after the fact? Well, that's exactly what it was. I didn't see what the big deal with that was, but what I just saw was I mean, I didn't see any gore or anything, but just really devastating. Kind of puts a damper on my day again. Not that I didn't see enough disturbing things yesterday and the day before. Hey, 18 is not bad. I think that they should probably still tag 18.5, but are they able to continue? Because again, I'm not seeing this move on very much volume. It feels like they're reacting to like every squeeze, every sneeze, every little tiny move. The Japanese yen is moving up here though, so that might be a good reason for us to want to go for it. The Japanese yen has been on the upturn the whole day and hasn't stopped, unlike the treasuries that pulled back. So why does your ZB DOM have different prices to yours? Are you perhaps on the wrong contract month? Okay, there's the 18.5. So that was a pretty good call I made. It's a little messy though. Can they go back up to the highs though? Uncertain. S&P 500 is taking a turn here in the past minute or so. Man. I don't think so. Mine displays 11104. No, that's what I'm at. I just have it hit the first one hidden. Right? To save myself a little bit of room, I don't show those other digits. I don't show that first digit because we always know that it's a 1. That's what it was. Okay. See it doing the liquidity hole sort of thing. Again at 18.5. So again, this looks like a market where the market makers don't really want to be very involved. Hopefully the liquidity comes back tomorrow. Oh, there's more to this story. Meanwhile, the IDF continues to pound the Gaza Strip in an unprecedented scale, with top Israeli officials increasingly voicing their approval for a ground invasion, which some say is imminent. Israel strikes in Gaza have killed at least 493, including dozens of children, and left 2,651 injured, according to Palestinian Ministry of Health. Those numbers are always a little inflated, but that's okay. There's definitely a lot of action happening there in Gaza. But if an Israeli ground assault does ensue, it will be deeply controversial inside Israel, given the likely high casualties the IDF will take on, as has been the case in prior high-risk ground incursions. There are emerging reports that Gaza-based terrorists have beheaded IDF soldiers. Can confirm that images showing Hamas beheadings of IDF soldiers do exist. Do not go searching for them. Haven't seen images of that magnitude since ISIS was prevalent. Touch 19. Maybe it's on again. I definitely could have taken 20, right? I saw it when it was at 20 and I was like, okay, this is kind of the situation that I've been looking for, but because it seems to be reacting to every sneeze, I don't feel confident taking a trade. And who knows? It's, it's entirely possible that if I had taken a trade the other way, that it might have played out a little bit differently, but there was $20 in it. But that's as far as I can really effectively judge that it's going to go. So starting to get hot in here. I need to adjust the thermostats and stuff. I have my vent closed because, heat in the evening, but I don't know if it would be turning on the cool right now or not. According to Reuters, Qatar is currently seeking to mediate hostage negotiations. The Palestinian side has demanded the release of some 5,000 of their own who have been held in Israeli jails, sometimes for years. There are believed to be Americans or dual Israeli citizens currently in captivity. 4 Americans have been confirmed killed. 10 British citizens are feared dead or missing. Rockets at the airport. A separate Hezbollah statement being reported in the regional media said Palestine is not Ukraine. If America intervenes directly, all American locations in the region will become legitimate targets of the resistance axis and will face our attacks. And on this day, there will be no red line left. Yes, really going up? I don't know. It seems like it's kind of fighting. Overall, I would say that the buyers have it, but that was a pretty bad, ugly red candle that last minute, and they're trying to retrace it. We'll see if they do, but the volume still appears to be on the side of the buyers. Lesson learned. Yes, almost always goes up before dropping after a war starts. I mean, they straight up opened to the downside on the open of the session, so. Japanese yen still looks tilted to the upside, although it's becoming quite an extreme looking chart that might have to come back a little bit. Is Jigsaw worth it? I have a 14-day. No, you don't. The way you do Jigsaw trial is you buy it, and then if you don't like it, you can get a full refund. Is it because bonds are up? Well, no. So I think that the market has gone risk off. So first of all, like, did the stock market go up when there was the war with Ukraine? Usually what happens in this situation is the risk off trade, which means that equities will drop and treasuries will rise. Now, part of why treasuries rise is just because it's a flight to safety trade. But I think in particular, like, so far, we don't have anything that says that this is really dramatically going to affect the US economy. So far, I don't have any clear evidence of that, okay? It's definitely going to affect the Israeli economy, but even the effects of that are a little bit uncertain. But what does happen is that countries move their foreign reserves because they have all these dollar reserves and stuff like that. So the treasuries, I think, buy up in large part because of the foreign moves from foreign reserves. So that's why you're seeing this, right? So it was full risk off. Now, what the next step of it is going to be, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. We got a couple of things coming up, right? Later this week, we get CPI. So that's a really, really big deal for starters. And then on top of that, you've got earnings season starting, right? Stocks are still in the blackout period. So who's to say where this ends up in the long run? We can just see the knee-jerk reaction on the thing is risk off. And who knows? You know, it wouldn't surprise me to see today be the only, like, really clear reaction from the markets to it. That's not unusual. Treasuries have been sitting here at now at 18 for a long, long time. Man, I really am tired. My body is... Yesterday I had a flare-up with my gut, and I think that's why I'm so tired. Reminds me, I have a colonoscopy soon, don't I? Next Thursday. happened here? My grandma died. I knew my grandma was getting close, but I'm surprised it happened that quickly. Treasury's starting to move back out again here. We're back to 4.7. So kind of the spot that we were at before that huge spike, right? We've still got an hour left. I mean, I could take 4.7. The liquidity is better. I think it's still a little bit like, I don't know if I want to touch it. I kind of want to lean back and rest. In fact, this whole time I've had my account armed. I think I'm going to disarm it. Trade might be there. I could take it on sim, but again, because I'm feeling tired. Sometimes I wonder, like, do I keep myself out of trades, like make up reasons to get out of good trades? But today I'm honestly tired. Oh my gosh. Just a reminder, Jimmy Carter only served one term. He's still eligible to run for president. It would be better than who we have in there right now, to be honest with you. But not by much. Seemed like the treasuries were on the march back up there again, but it didn't really actually take. So again, I'm getting strong evidence of like a quite a dead market that's just overreacting to every tiny little move because there's not a whole lot of liquidity. Do you do much journaling, replaying? Less and less as time goes on. You know, like the stream is kind of my journal, so if I really feel the need to go back and look back at something and try and figure out what happened, I just rewatch the stream. I would like to do more about writing down anticipated flows and getting a lot more, you know, something that I could even sell to you guys, but I just don't think I really have the time or schedule to do it right now. So it kind of sucks because I want to provide people with more services. I feel like that my NinjaTrader indicators are really amazing, but not everybody is using NinjaTrader, right? I don't use NinjaTrader brokerage, and I kind of don't like them, so it's kind of almost like even I am kind of moving away from it, you know? But you know, so I would love to do like provide services in other ways. But the service that I think would be the most useful to people, you know, I think that you would want to have like the most up-to-date one right when the stream starts. And how would I do that? There's not enough time to do that analysis at that time and stuff. So I give you the best that I have here on the stream instead. I guess I just have a desire to go down. I think it's an ADHD thing, you know? Like, I want to hustle, you know? And for some reason, I don't feel like putting more into the current hustle. You know, it's just trade better. Can continue doing the stream thing. It's going well, but you know, I want to do something that like can reach more people, and I'm just not sure what the thing would be that would match up with my skills, you know? I saw a John Grady interview where he said 3 months of replaying / reviewing trades is better than a year of journaling. Well, so like here's the thing. I think that a lot of the journaling and everything kind of comes from this idea that the market is a problem to be solved, and somehow by reviewing what the market is doing long enough, you will figure out the equation and find success from it. I really think that that's where people get this idea from. My approach is that we need to predict future orders, and so we need to have things that will be predictive of those future orders. Well, sometimes what will happen is we'll get those future orders, and then we'll see what caused it. And we'll kind of be like, oh, well, I wasn't paying attention to that. I didn't realize that, etc., etc., etc. At that point, you know. Like, at that point, you know. You don't, what's the point of, like, going back over it and replaying it and all of these things? Because ultimately, it comes down to, like, were you keyed in to the right things, and then were you executing well? As of late, I haven't been executing well. Here today, I did not like the market conditions, so I sat on it, even though it looks like I had a couple of opportunities to take some pretty good trades. Because I did say, I would expect them to move up a little bit. They moved up well past the area that I was looking for them to go to. Are they going to break the highs again? Very skeptical of that. Kevin McCarthy says he's willing to return as speaker. Wonder why they're talking about that. The thing that I'm seeing right now is that it sounds like Jim Jordan is going to win, and he's already saying some things that the far-right hardliners don't like. So the real issue is that there's no way to actually please you, is there? One tick down. See, the concern I have is if I take this, it might go to new highs and I might make 10 to 20 bucks off of it, but it could also just retrace like the last one and just be really fast. What do you feel is the problem with Ninja Trader brokerage? Well, so I did not find... So I think the biggest problem is CQG Continuum isn't as good. I think that the data that you get isn't very good. I prefer Rhythmic. But then even then, it seems that CQG is better than CQG Continuum. And then on top of that, I haven't found their support to be very good. I think that the bigger problem here is that they very much want to tie their platform into their brokerage business and use their platform as a cudgel to herd people into working for their brokerage is really what it's all about. And I don't like that. I very much prefer to have like an open platform that allows me to go anywhere that I want. So I think that part of my dissatisfaction with Ninja Trader is that their business is kind of moving in a philosophical direction that I'm not a huge fan of. But I have had a tendency to kind of do these sorts of things right when something is going to take off. That basically a lot of the things that I will like about a platform or a company or whatever are things that as soon as they do away with them, then the company takes off. Like that's what happened with Epic Games. I wasn't happy with the way things were going. I stopped being involved. And then Fortnite took off, Now it's coming back into that. I've been watching that whole situation very intently. Epic Games is basically giving up on the store thing. They're giving up on the store thing and they're trying to turn Fortnite into a metaverse. And it's like, well, I could get involved here, but I don't want to. I kind of think that this is going to turn into a dystopian nightmare. And I don't want to be involved. Which maybe means that it's going to take off and Epic really ends up being successful at making the quote-unquote metaverse. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu told Joe Biden that Israel has no choice but to launch ground operations, according to Forex Live. Gaza Palestinians brace for most punishing. Yeah, I've been surprised that they're not already there. Another slight move up in oil over the last 30 minutes or so, by the way, and the dollar not doing a whole lot of anything, but the Japanese yen continues to push up, which is probably what is driving the treasuries here. Major Israeli airstrike moments ago against an area in Lebanon from where armed men tried to enter Israeli territory. Holy shit. Want to hear more awful stories? Okay, here we go. If you don't live in Israel or consume Israeli media, you don't know who Yair Golan is. He is a 61-year-old retired major general in the Israeli army and a former parliament MP. Yesterday, when the IDF and police were in complete chaos, Golan put on his old uniform, took his weapon, and drove into the war zone multiple times to rescue civilians under fire. He rescued 2 young adults hiding under a bush after 260 of their friends were murdered at an outdoor party. Is that the rave? I don't know. He answered a call from a journalist that his son was hiding under fire and simply said, "Give me his location and I will bring him back home." An hour later, the son called his father from Golan's car. Golan collected a small crew and went in and out of the war zone, rescuing dozens of people while exchanging fire with Hamas terrorists. He is 61. He could have stayed home, but he chose to risk his life for people he does not know. Golan is one of the strongest voices from the Israeli left and was constantly attacked by the right wing in Israel, but when the time came, he was first fighting the barbaric attack. The same brain wiring that supports peace is often the same wiring that drives people to do the right thing. A true hero. Dude, they should make a video about this guy. Holy crap. Who do you think should play this guy in a movie? That sounds like that is one of the most badass things I have ever heard of in modern days. That's like a World War II crazy story. Holy crap. They could totally make a movie about that. Treasury is still, yeah. It looks really quiet. It's so deceptive, right? This is I really hate this kind of a market. This is like my least favorite kind of a market is a really illiquid market that is slipping around a lot on very little activity. You can get really good reads, and so it seems like you can make the calls and you know what's going on, but it actually ends up being random, and the risk is really, really high. And so my experience has been that these ones aren't worth playing. Dude, that story was crazy. It looks like Harrison. There we go. We could get Harrison Ford to play him. Wait, how old? Harrison Ford is in his 80s, right? Yeah. It could be played by George Clooney. Could maybe do George Clooney. But more likely it ends up being played by like Tom Cruise. That sounds like a Tom Cruise thing, right? Tom Cruise is 61 years old, by the way. I guess you could maybe do Tom Hanks. I can't really see Tom Hanks in the role of a military officer, though. Gerard Butler. Hey. Kevin Costner is 68. Wait, where did the picture of him go? There we go. Okay. I think Kevin Costner could pull it off. Huh? Probably better than like Tom Cruise or yeah. He's kind of a more of a slender man. I think Kevin Costner would make more sense. Maybe. No, I don't think William Dafoe would work very well for that one. Okay, bot. What is... Now we have to see... Kevin Costner is... So it sounds like he has some connection to Israel. Maybe Kevin Costner could do it. No, Michael Keaton's too old. No, we're looking for a 60-year-old. Right? We need a 60-year-old. Let's make sure that we get the right guy. I don't think he is on X. Well, he kind of has one. I don't think he has a personal one. Paragliding into Gaza, Tom Cruise can pull it off. like you know that if people tagged Tom Cruise on it, that he would make it happen probably. But I don't know what Tom Cruise's politics on that sort of a thing is. Right? A lot of Hollywood is anti-Israel. I'm just going to retweet this without a quote. Okay, so Axios has a story about this now, huh? There's 21.5. Wow, that one was $20. Totally passed on a lot of opportunity today, but that's okay. I made peace with it early on. I wasn't feeling very well, and I saw the liquidity. Okay. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told President Biden on Sunday that Israel does not have any choice but to unleash a ground operation in Gaza. We have to go in, the Israeli leader said, according to 3 Israeli and U.S. sources briefed on the call. Why it matters? Netanyahu's message signals what his country's response to Hamas's attack will look like in the days and weeks ahead, in what the Israeli Prime Minister has said will be a long and difficult war. Driving the news, the Israeli military announced on Monday it has mobilized 300,000 reserve soldiers, the largest number of reservists called to duty in decades, as part of preparations for a possible ground offensive in Gaza. Behind the scenes during his call with Netanyahu, Biden raised the issue of Israeli hostages in Gaza, according to the 3 sources. We have to go in. We can't negotiate now, Netanyahu said. The White House and the Israeli Prime Minister office declined. So is this that like Biden did not want to go in and wants to negotiate first? Netanyahu told Biden that Israel has no other choice but to respond with force because a country can't show weakness in the Middle East. I guarantee you guys, you watch this story, like the more that this story is going to get out, the worse it's going to look for Biden. That sounds like a Biden was like, wants to hold back, wants to negotiate, try and get hostages back, etc., etc., etc. And a lot of people are going to be upset because that's kind of what I'm reading behind the lines in this report. And usually what happens is you get like the initial report like that, and then later on you're going to get the stories that like make it look really bad for Joe Biden. Okay. We need to restore deterrence, Netanyahu told Biden. Biden did not try to press Netanyahu or convince him not to go through with a ground operation. Between the lines, according to a U.S. source, Biden is expected to handle the current Gaza war in a similar way to how he handled the 2021 Gaza war. The U.S. gave Israel public backing and held frequent and low-profile diplomatic engagement with Netanyahu and other leaders in the region. The big picture, Biden asked Netanyahu about a scenario in which a second front is opened along the Israeli-Lebanese border. The Lebanese militant group has... I don't need to go into that part of it. Okay, that seems like a significant story. What does this even mean? number Liam Nelson. Taken for Liam Nelson story about Noah, the girl abducted from the... Yeah. Right? No, Liam Nelson could do it, totally. How old is he? He's older, too. He's 71. I think he could pull it off. He could pull it off, yeah. You think that they're going to break that high? They're getting awfully close to it. Yeah, it doesn't... If they end up going higher, that makes the whole day even more interesting, right? Like, because the thing that I was kind of thought was going to happen coming into all of this was that the risk off moves would continue and that the market would start to move into a real panic over this. I wouldn't say that it's a panic, but the bonds are definitely responding. They're definitely responding. Oh, it totally could be Liam Nelson because he was in Schindler's List, right? Liam Nelson calls for an end to anti-Semitism. Yeah, I think you got it. We've got the script for Taken 4. I'm feeling good. Jim Iorio liked my reply. I suppose that means that he found what I gave him informative. When I first read it, I too was a little bit like, what? And they do have somewhat similar faces. I think that Liam Nelson could pull it off for sure, yeah. The whole Taken franchise got a little bit tenuous. This is like the real deal though, right? Like the guy just straight up said, okay, give me their location and I'll go get them. Holy crap. Yeah, here's the thing though, is like over the past day, the stories that you have been coming out really strongly suggest that this is more than 1,000 people. This is probably more like 3,000 people that were murdered, right? Because just in that story, one of the people that he saved they were at a party and 50 of their friends were killed at this party. So if that's not the rave, this is another event. That's like another 50 people. And that sort of stuff was going on all over the place. I think the reality is that we probably don't have anywhere close to an idea of what the carnage is, because it was only today that they've cleared things out and that they're going to be able to go through and start identifying bodies and discovering how many people actually got killed. Right? I think one of the problems that I'm seeing is people on the internet are reading this and they're saying, oh, okay, this is like par for the course. You know, we always see these things flare up every couple of years between Hamas and Israel. And then you hear the numbers and it's like a couple hundred people. And I was like, yeah, they kill a couple hundred people in Gaza all the time. It's not a big deal. It's not until you start reading what's really actually happened and the way that the Israelis are reacting to it that you realize how big of a deal it actually was. This really is like the Israeli 9/11, and like for a country that is having stuff like this happen to them all the time, to call it their equivalent of a 9/11 is like a huge deal, right? You see NOA? I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about the girl that was put onto the, like her daughter was the daughter was kidnapped and the father is like right there. Here, let's see here. Videos verified by the New York Times show the abductor of a woman at a music festival in Israel near the Gaza border. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you guys still there? I had to reset my audio. Should be fine. Jeez. Yeah, I did see that video. They got two guys stealing her on the motorcycle. Okay, I did hear something about Beijing here. Let's see if I can get it. President Xi to meet with U.S. Senate Majority Leader Schumer in Beijing, according to Chinese state media. Oh, okay. It's been sitting here for a while. It sure seems like it's ready to pop off. You know what? There's been a lot of lately, I go and then it goes, you know, like after 9 o'clock. And I think that that's likely to happen here again. I just can't trade it, man. I'm sorry. I feel so stupid looking at it, but not only am I just not in good health today, but the liquidity conditions are not very conducive to what we're doing. I could have taken the risk and I probably would have gotten away with it. It looks like I have a pretty good handle on what's going on, and I had a pretty good handle on the flow and where would be good places to get in. But I just was not willing to take the risk, and I'm still not willing to take the risk. So we'll see where we end up tomorrow. This is going to be incredibly interesting. This is a very fluid situation, and we're likely to get more headlines that could potentially rile the markets. So don't go anywhere. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay excellent.